A few days ago, New Horizons officially turned 5 years old, which is crazy. I can't believe that this game is 5 years old at this point. It really feels like yesterday that it just released and I was starting this island for the very first time, walking out of these doors and exploring what was then a completely empty nothing zone, basically. So I thought it'd be very fitting, now that my island is over 5 years old, to actually do a full tour. I try and update you folks with these every year. I might have missed a few years, but this will be a monumentous one as we're into our 5th year. Still have the same flag that we've basically had forever, but I have actually made some changes to my island in the last year or so since I've last done a tour that you might be interested in. So first of all, I know the one thing everyone likes to see when you start up an island tour is the map. Here you go, here's my crazy looking map, which I know just looks like a complete and utter labyrinth, and it basically is, but that's how I like it, you know. I often get a lot of comments of people saying my island looks like a maze or it's too confusing. I totally understand that, but I'm happy with it, so I think that's what counts. Here are all of my villages. Of course I have Bob, and mostly the same villagers which have lived here for a long time. The only one who is due to move out is actually Walt Jr. I have nothing against him, he was just never intended to actually live here. I'm supposed to replace him with Shino. I've just been a bit slow about it, unfortunately. And we do actually have an empty slot where B used to live. Not sure who's going to replace her yet, but we'll see. Also, there's my dream address in case you were wondering. So let's take a look around. I don't really know where to start. I think I'm going to make my way to resident services. So something you're going to see a lot about my island is, you know, there's a lot of tight spaces. This is something I did because I'm really not great at filling up empty spaces. I've tried to get better at it, and I've actually made some changes to my island that will reflect upon that, but yeah, I haven't been great. Also, this isn't set to real time at the moment. I've set this to the cherry blossoms just because I think that makes for a really pretty island tour, and it's my favorite sort of time of the year in New Horizons, so that's what I decided to do. Here's the resident services plaza right kind of in the middle of the island. It is surrounded on all sides by cliffs, and that's very much intentional on my part. I wanted it to feel closed in, I wanted it to feel, you know, kind of cozy in a way. I guess that's what I was going for, I don't know. Here's two of my villages, nice to see you folks. What way should I go? I think it's so hard, and I say this of course because of the fact that my island is kind of a bit of a maze. Now, if you're wondering what my island theme is, I would probably say farm core mixed with cottage core. Something like that. I have a lot of farming elements on my island, as you'll come to see. A lot of crops, a lot of farming related items, silos, all kinds of things. So that's basically what I was going for, but it's not a strict theme as such. And look who it is, it's Bob. Hey there, walking buddy. Hey Bob, how you doing? The weather's great today. I'm gonna lay down in the grass and talk to some bugs. You do that, Bob. We love you. So if we head down here, we've got a sort of quite a small little beach area. I'll show you what I mean. It's just a little beach, just a small one. I've actually done a lot of work down here on live streams in the past. This is where I created this little fishing area. I've also got a shipyard too, which I'm really happy about. These yachts were not cheap. Just like in real life, these things are incredibly expensive, so save up your bells if you want those. Here is one of my second character houses. I'm not actually going to do a house tour in this video. I mean, I could maybe do my house, but if I do all the other houses, I'm going to be here forever. So I might do my house. A lot of people have asked me to do it during these tours, so I guess we'll give that a go. But yeah, just a nice little entrance to the beach. There's also one over there if you want to take it. More farming fields. Now, if we head over here, we are currently heading to the bottom right section of the island. But if we quickly head up, we can see this is where Bob's house is, and I basically gave Bob this massive sort of garden. He's got some play equipment which sort of fits his kind of childish nature, and I don't know, it just feels Bob-like around here. I don't know what this item is doing here. I don't think it's supposed to be here. It's something Bob can relax on, I suppose, if he wants to. And yeah, all of these pathways will effectively take you back to the resident services, so it might seem a little bit confusing, but every pathway has a purpose. It'll take you somewhere. and ultimately it'll lead you back to the center of the island, resident services. Now let's head over to the bottom section, the bottom right section. I'm trying to remember my lefts and rights there. This is currently Wart Jr.'s house. This is supposed to be Shino's house, and I actually did this more recently. I'm not even sure if anyone has seen this. I mean, you've probably seen it in my videos, but I don't think I live streamed this. I did it off screen. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. I wanted one of my villager houses on the beach for the longest time, and I finally got around to doing it. I love how it looks. I just can't wait for Shino to actually move in. I think she's going to really enjoy living in this little secluded beach area. As you know, the beaches are really hard to decorate in New Horizons, so I just tried to do whatever I could to make the area seem interesting. Now, let's head up. I'm not going to go up to the end of this beach because there's not really much up there to show you. Again, I found it decorating hard. Yes, that's a good sentence. I found it hard to decorate. But here's a little pirate area with some gyroids. You know, they're having a great time. They're having a fun little time. So over here, this is my bamboo area with all the bamboo on the island. I love how this area came out. It feels very rustic. This hasn't changed in an incredibly long time, and I have no plans really to ever change it. We've got the gateways here, which will lead you up to Dobie's house. Here he is. He was actually in resident services. But yeah, I'm so happy with his house. It feels really nice and tucked away. I'm very pleased with my terraforming skills past me. Just to pat myself on the back. I love how the rivers go and the little cliff sections in the rivers. You'll notice my island is incredibly terraformed, which I understand for some people they might not like that thing as much. But for me, I really enjoyed doing it, and I think it adds an interesting element to the island. Now, if we head... It's a tough decision. Should I head upwards or should I continue heading over this way? I think I'm going to briefly head over here and kind of explain where we are. So if I show you on the map, as you can see, we're kind of somewhat close to resident services. As I mentioned, all pathways lead back there, so that's Bob's house where we were. But this is the pathway up to my ruined castle area, which I love so much. I love these castle items. I haven't even really done much decorating here. They do all the work for me because they're just so wonderful. I was so happy when they were added to the game. But leading over takes us to Nook's Cranny, which, like resident services, has the same sort of theming going on, I suppose you could call it. It's got the cliffs surrounding it, but it's also got some of the ruined stuff which fits with my ruined castle, so I'm trying to keep the themes consistent. Once again, if you head down, you'll meet another farming area, and, as I mentioned, a pathway that leads to resident services. So if you are visiting my island and you feel a little bit confused, don't worry, because all pathways basically lead back to resident services, which is where you might need to be. However, I'm going to continue heading upwards. I think that's exactly what we need to do right about now. So, up here is where we have quite a few villager homes, and more importantly, we have my campsite. So this is where Shino's house actually used to be, but I just turned this into a little gardening area, a little farming area, you know. It's kind of cute. I like some of the stuff going on here. We've got a nice view over to the beach, which is fun. Not a ton going on there, maybe I'll figure that out later on. Over here is something I really love. This is Sasha's house. And I just love this because, again, it feels kind of unique. You know, it's not like a lot of the other houses. It's tucked away. It's not quite on the beach, but it's close to the beach. And it just feels like Sasha has their own really private area, which I love. I just love that. I'm so glad I did that when the 2.0 update came out. Definitely one of my favorite villages that they introduced into the game. Here is the camping area, and someone is actually camping today. Should we see who it is? I had no idea that someone was going to be visiting us. Can you imagine if it was a villager I actually wanted? Because I do have a slot right now. Who's it gonna... Ike is cool. Don't get me wrong, I like Ike, and his donut's cool, but I don't think he's necessarily who I'm looking for when it comes to a villager moving to the island. So yeah, this is the main campsite area. I really like doing this thing where you actually have to go down the inclines into these sunken areas at the back of the island, because On most islands, the back of the island is raised up on cliffs. So I really like the idea of flattening that bit and having sort of perspective, I guess, where you have to go down. I thought that was cool. Secret beach area, you know, we're buying some fraudulent art from Red, although at this point, I think I've gotten everything. Cooking stuff and also camping stuff around here as well, so we can do all of that if we want to. Now let's head over this way, and this is actually where I've made some changes since last time. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of people gave me complaints about finding my island difficult to navigate and such, which I've tried to remedy in subtle ways. So for example, here originally this was just a cliff and you'd have to go all the way around if you wanted to make it up there. I made this little pathway so you can go straight through now and cut off a section if you just want quick access. I've also added a vine here so that you can easily get to the campsite if you need to, which I think is handy. Now, I did actually reduce the amount of cliffs here as well, and instead I've added some trees and a more sort of open kind of area. So we do still have this cliff in the middle, but before, the cliff in the middle kind of took up the whole screen, whereas now it is directly in the center and there's a bit more room to actually walk around. The pathways aren't as tight, so I'm pretty happy with that. Here we have a section of raised walkways, which I really like. I'm pleased that I did this when I did it. This area took a lot of thought and a lot of design. I kind of wanted the top half of my island to feel like a sort of wild jungle, so that's the vibe I went for. Now, heading over here, we have some more villager homes. This is Audie's home, which has a very sort of tropical feel about it. I think that's very fitting for her. We even got the volcano, which is just a crazy item to have. This is also where I did some terraforming work recently. I've made this area much more open. There used to be tons and tons of cliffs running along here. Now I've made it a much more open pathway so you can easily see what is going on the screen. And yeah, I think that was the right decision. Before it felt very, very cramped. There was a lot going on. So now I've made it much more open. I've made it so you can enjoy the views a bit more. And you don't feel like there are cliffs, you know, blocking your view, like this one, for example. But I didn't want to get rid of all of them, I wanted to keep some. This is Raymond's house, which again, has that sort of tropical jungle kind of vibe, but I think Raymond needs to move. Not leave the island, I just think his house needs to be swapped out with someone else, because he doesn't really fit the theme of what's going on down here, you know? I don't really know who else would. Out of all my villagers, to be honest, I don't really think any of them would incredibly fit this theme, but we can have a think about that, you know, there's gotta be some sort of solution for who can move there without kicking anyone out. So yeah, over here, the bus stop area, I love this item. It's one of my favorites in the entire game, it's just great. This is the museum, and once again, I made this area much more open. Previously, we had cliffs here, we had little rivers and streams running down. I just wanted this area to be more open. I wanted people to be able to appreciate the space and see what is going on. So if we head down, again, that sort of sunken perspective, here is the museum. Haven't really changed this in a very, very long time. I don't really have any plans to, but you know, I like it. I think it's looking pretty good at the moment, and I'm glad I've been able to add a bit more space. If I head down, this will actually take me to the Able Sisters. I just want to very briefly show this part of the island because it's not too exciting. Effectively, this leads back over to Nook's Cranny. Just give you a little bit of a slower look if you wanted one. But yeah, there's not a ton going on here. This is effectively just the shopping district of the island. I'll kind of loop back around to this soon, I think, but yeah, this is where Able Sisters is on the map. But if we head back up and we go over through this pathway, we have the Forbidden Cave, which you are not supposed to go in. And I do want to go in it. Look at that. That's very tempting. This is my maybe favorite item in the entire game. I love it so much. It's an absolutely incredible item. I think a lot of people really love that one. Little mining area. I think maybe that's why it's all blocked off, because in my head it used to be mines or something. So that's my headcanon for my own island, I guess. Up here is my house. This is where I live. And this sort of, I don't know, whimsical area hasn't changed in an incredibly long time. and I don't think it ever will change, to be honest with you. I'm just happy with how it is. It's very much surrounded by cliffs and surrounded by flowers, all kinds of interesting items and such. I think we'll do a tour in there. I think we'll do a tour in there once the actual tour of the island is over, so stick around for that. Now, there's two ways you can go. You can head down here, which takes you to this little farm area, but I'm not going to go down here. I'm just going to show you the little farm bit. What I am going to do is head over to this section of the island, and I'm going to show you where Renee lives. So right now we are on the left side of the island, the top left. And yeah, this is Renee's farm home. If you went over there and you went up, that would take you back to that little farm area above her house. So I kind of see it as her farm area. But why don't we actually head down to the bottom left section. Again, I removed some cliffs here and just made the island a little bit more open. This is Dom's home, this is where he lives. There's a few things going on the beach next to his house, but it's not really worth showing. They're just random ideas, it's nothing too exciting, sadly. I do wish a bit more was going on, but yeah. This area is incredibly flanked by massive, massive cliffs. I wanted it, again, to feel very closed in, I suppose, but I know some people don't love that effect, so I'm sorry. Either way, if we head down here, this is where Captain's dock is. Not really much going on. I probably could have done a lot better. We do have, over here, my other character, but I've done nothing with his house, and again, the beach is hard to decorate. Cut me some slack. I've tried my best, and it's not really worked. So this is the bottom left section. Heading over this bridge will take us kind of back to where the airport is. We do have a little hidden beach area down here, not a very big one, just made a little place to, you know, have some coffee if you want. This is the house of Petrie, and again, I've done some big changes here. There was a massive cliff in the middle of this area. I removed it. I just put some trees in instead, so it's a more flat area, added some more pathways and such. It just feels a lot more open now. There's a lot less going on in the screen without taking everything away. So we're back to where we started at the airport. So I'm going to try and show you all the areas that I have missed, because there's a few. There's not a ton, there's a few. So this pathway sort of heading through the center of the island will take you to a bit of a crossroads. If you head up here, that'll take you back to the Able Sisters, just a nice little pergola area. And once again, an area that I did a lot of work on. There was a big cliff right in the middle here, a tiny walkway going through. I got rid of that. I decided instead I wanted it to be a lot more open, added some items and some custom patterns, and I'm really happy with that. So yeah, there's Renee's house. This sort of crossroads open area can take you there. It can also take you in a few different directions. So down here is a very secret area next to resident services with a pergola. I never really did a ton with it, but you know, it's a neat little area. If you head up this side of the resident services, you could go back to Nook's Cranny, or you could go over here to what was formerly Bee's house. Again, very secluded, very hidden and tucked away, but that's how I like things on this island. Now, this little pathway, once again, will take you back up to the Able Sisters, and that is basically the entire island, as far as I can remember anyways. So, now what we're going to do is I am going to take you on a little tour of my house, because people have asked for this quite often. I'm not going to show every single house on the island. I mean, to be fair, there's only one other that is actually decorated, but we'll focus on my house, because I never really show it in my videos on, like, my island. Oh gosh, I didn't know we had company. Hey, come here. There's probably a lot more than that. Yeah, there definitely is. So, I found this really cool design online a long time ago that so many people asked me about, that kind of adds the perspective of you going up a level. Sadly, I cannot remember where I got this design. I think I literally found it on Pinterest or Google, but if you can find it and the creator, please comment down below. I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate that, as would I. My house hasn't changed in an incredibly long time. I think I got the Turkey Day items and then never really changed it. I just think they look kind of nice and homely, you know. I think they suit the wooden, rustic cottage kind of vibes I'm going for. Gotta have our picture of Bob, of course. He is an absolute star. Why don't we head upwards to my bedroom? This has probably been seen a bit more than the other rooms of my house because I used to live stream dream tours, and of course, I did a lot of that from this bedroom. Got the froggy chair, of course. You've gotta have froggy chair. I mean, what kind of island would it be without froggy chair? Got a little wall section here, which I like a lot. This is my bathroom. I don't know why the toilet is emitting really scary things, but it is. I like the bathroom area. I love the fact that you can have walls now, and that allows you to have little private rooms within rooms. I just think this design came out really cool, so it's something I'm very pleased with. The other rooms of the house, I genuinely don't think I've changed or showed off in such a long time, so here we go, I guess. It feels weird to even be showing these off. I haven't done my house tour in so long. This is the bar area downstairs, and yeah, it really, really has not changed in so long. I think this is one of the first rooms I really finished, and it just is what it is. You know, it's a bar, an old-timey bar with a tanuki running it, some gnomes, Mr. Resetti. You know, I don't know how to feel about this room. I like it. I think it's cool. It just hasn't changed in such a long time. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it doesn't need to change. It's just so weird that it's been 5 years. It just doesn't really feel real, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel like it's been 5 years at all. It feels like I started designing this island yesterday, but I've actually had it for so long. This is my tiny little kitchen, also a little sort of kitchen work area, I suppose. Yeah, it's neat. I like this area, very simplistic. I can do some cooking in here. Got lots of the furniture that I really like as well. It's just a basic room. Nothing too fancy or crazy about it. I think this one did update more recently than the others though, so you might never have seen that one, which is interesting. Over here, let's head over to this room now and see what we can find. This room is one they did with the 2.0 update, so this one is a lot newer. As you can see, it's got sort of a kind of indoor-outdoor theme. It's like an outdoor garden here with the greenhouse and some of the garden and cherry blossom items, but then you can head in, and I really like that. I'd love to have something like this in real life, like a garden room like this. I just think that's such a neat idea, so yeah, I really, really like this room. I'm happy that I did it. I love these walls. I love the fact that you can do this. Also, look at that wallpaper. It's so immersive. We didn't have that back in the old days of Animal Crossing. Now, why don't we head over to the final room of the house, which ironically is probably the least exciting. However, it is my favorite for certain reasons. I don't know if I call it my favorite, but it's close. This is my trophy room, and sadly it's not very big because that's kind of all the space they gave us. But this has, you know, some of my most important stuff. It's mostly photos of characters. Sadly, the photos aren't that difficult to get in this game, which is a bit of a shame. You just have to do some stuff for them in Happy Home Paradise. But there are some special ones in here from limited time events and stuff like that. So, I like it. It's just a nice reminder of some of the progress I've made in the game. And I feel like that's actually a good place to end this video on. It's been 5 years worth of Animal Crossing New Horizons. Currently, we're looking forward to the future and the next Animal Crossing game, but I have so many great memories with this one too. It truly has been a joy working on this island. I doubt I'm going to make many more changes from this point onwards, honestly. But I'll make sure to keep you updated on everything that is going on with Kokomo, and I really hoped you enjoyed this tour. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video, it helps a lot. Let me know your thoughts about the island in the comment section down below if you have any suggestions or ideas too. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next video.